Fourth grade, I'm going to be reading to you pages 105 through 125 from Freaky, Fast, Frankie, Joe. If you remember, Frankie Joe had gone with his dad in our last reading to visit farmers. And the one farmer that they met was Mr. Puffin. And Mr. Puffin's wife had just died, and he was showing Frankie Joe and FJ around his farm. I know what mold is. I think about our refrigerator back in Texas. Mold grows on food, and you have to throw it out, except on cheese, and you can cut it off. That's right, Mr. Puffin says. What about shrink on corn? You know what that is? No, sir. It's the weight loss that happens during the drying process. It's better if the corn dries natural in the field, else we have to use mechanics to dry it out, and that costs a lot, and it eats up your profit. I push my thumbnail into a kernel to see how dry it is. Smell it, he tells me. The corn? Yeah, see if it smells musty or sour or garlicky. Garlicky? I take a sniff as he tells me about other things that can affect profit, like smut balls and insects. Smut's a fungus that looks just like what it's called, black soot. But it's really a parasite, he says, and I'm sure you know what bugs like to eat. Corn and beans, I say, grinning. After the corn, we move to another field, and we do similar kinds of tests on soybeans. We walk up and down the rows of soybeans. Good shrink on the corn, Harvey, FJ says at the end of all the eyeballing and squeezing and smelling. The beans look good too. The old man looks pleased when FJ makes his final assessment. We walk back towards the house through corn so tall, the sky all but disappears. The long leaves on the corn wrap around me, making me feel invisible. A person could disappear in all this corn. Before I know it, I'm thinking about my plan to head out for Texas, see my friends again, tell Mr. O'Hare about the farm machinery, describe the color of the ladybugs to Mr. Lopez, talking to Mrs. Jones about blight and aphids on corn and soybeans, being free to ride my bike anytime I want, to smell the mesquite, to taste the sand that blows in off the Chihuahua Desert, spook up birds and deer, hunt space rocks, and be there to welcome Mom when she gets home. I can just ride straight south on these straight roads and eat my way back home, I decide. As tall as the corn grows, I could even hide out in it to escape the posse I'm sure FJ would send after me. I need to be careful, not slip up. These fields look like they run on forever, I say, figuring this is a good chance to test out my escape route. I bet they run all the way down the middle of the country. Well, Mr. Puffin says, that's a fact. That's the best thing I've learned all afternoon. All your hard work paid off, Harvey, FJ says. If it doesn't rain, you'll end up with a top-grade crop this year. Well, then, let's pray it doesn't rain. Don't need any hiccups now that would set the harvest back. Mr. Puffin looks at FJ and asks, got time for a cup? Oh, I've been waiting all day for a cup of your good coffee, Harvey, FJ says. The sun has begun to lower in the west when I follow Mr. Puffin into the white painted farmhouse. I don't like that this day is almost over. As I sit down at the table, Mr. Puffin asks, what's got you so long in the face, boy? You hungry? I bet you're hungry. Oh, no, sir. It's because I have to go back to the Huckabee house, but I can't tell him that because FJ is sitting there. FJ gives me a look, and I remember that I'm supposed to be sensitive. Well, maybe a little hungry, I say to Mr. Puffin. Well, I'd be a lot hungry. I was a growing boy like you. What's your favorite thing to eat? Burritos, I say. Burritos? Mr. Puffin pulls a store-bought bag of cookies from a bread box. That's Mexican food, isn't it? I like Italian food myself. Pepperoni and sausage pizza's my favorite. You like pizza? I sure do. Mr. Puffin shakes some rock-hard cookies onto a plate and says, you're not but, 7 miles from town? Why don't you just drive in and pick some up? 7 miles. That's nothing. I bet I do 70 miles a day when I bike in the Chihuahua Desert. I can do 7 miles in 10 minutes. FJ looks skeptical. That might be, Mr. Puffin says, but I milk cows morning and night, 7 days a week. Have to clean the milk shed when I'm done, too. Used to be Mary cleaned the milk shed, and we'd get done early enough to run into town. But no more. One of these big dairies would buy those cows off you, Harvey, FJ says. Why don't you give that some thought? Long as I've known you, Frank, you've been right more than you've been wrong. I'll think on it, Mr. Puffin pours a glass of milk and sets it in front of me. I could bring you pizza, I blurt out. What? FJ's eyes open wide. I do my homework before I leave. I mean, it's only 7 miles out and 7 miles back. Sounds like the boy needs a break from all that studying. You'd have to figure out a way to carry it. I already got a basket on my bike for carrying things. I delivered things for people in Laredo. That a fact. How much did you charge? I worked for tips. Mr. Puffin shakes his head. Delivery charge would be better. So much a mile, maybe. I'm open for it. What do you think, FJ? How far out and back would that be, Frankie Joe? He asks. 7 times 2. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 miles is easy. And if you come out twice a month, how many miles would that be? Round trip. Is he serious? 2 times a month away from the mutant ninja posse and the Saturday quilt circle? That would be 28 miles. He's teaching me to count by sevens. And what if you come out 4 times a month? My heart flip-flops. I never dreamed I'd have a reason to count by sevens, but now I do, to earn money to get back home. I'm so excited I can't think straight. I don't know right now, but I'll figure it out before we leave today. Okay, then, you can do it if you wear a helmet. We won't have you out on the roads without one. I'm sure we have a spare one at the house for you. I never wear a helmet, but okay, I'll wear it. I'll wear a helmet. I'll do anything to get out of the quilt circle and Mrs. Bixby. Well, now, you've got an enterprising boy here. Mr. Puffin asks, you got a name for your new business? Yes, sir. Frankie Joe's Freaky Fast Delivery Service. Enterprising, marked by an independent, energetic spirit and by readiness to experiment. I read the definition again before I close the dictionary, thinking Mandy's not the only one who's good at business. Impatient to get started, I decide to make a sign for my bike. I search out a scrap piece of cardboard in the storage and find a felt-tip marker in the desk drawer. In my best penmanship, I letter Frankie Joe's Freaky Fast Delivery Service. Creeping downstairs, I go to the kitchen where I know Lizzie keeps twist ties from bread wrappers. I find 4. Then I look for an ice pick in her odds and ends drawer. I punch holes in the 4 corners of the cardboard and push the plastic twist ties through. With everything I need to put the sign on my bike basket, I head for the front porch. In a matter of minutes, the sign is wired on my basket and I'm in business. I sneak back upstairs to my bedroom and turn in. Lying in bed, I stare at the ceiling and think about my escape to Texas plan. FJ can get more free from AAA if he needs them, but I bet he won't be driving back to Texas, so he won't need this map. As soon as I'm back with Mom, things will be normal again. I start to dream. It's the day I arrived in Clearview, Illinois. I'm sitting at the table with all the Huckabees, and Lizzie asks me to tell everyone what I'm good at. And I hear myself say, I'm enterprising. How much are you going to charge for your delivery? It's Friday afternoon, and Mandy's invited herself to walk home with me. She's excited that I'm going to be delivering pizzas on Saturday, starting tomorrow. Depends on how far it is, I tell her. We scuff our feet through the leaves. The leaves aren't pukey green anymore. Now they're the color of dirty gym socks. I figure a quarter a mile is fair. That would be $1.75 for 7 miles. That's how far it is to Mr. Puffin's place. Sounds a little cheap to me. It's a round trip, you know. Yeah, I know, but I want to be fair. I don't tell her that my new business has an extra benefit. It gets me away from the Cowabunga gang and Mrs. Bixby. How do you plan on keeping the pizza hot? Uh-oh, didn't think of that. I bet Mr. Gambino would help figure something out. Since he runs the pizza parlor, selling more pizzas would help him out too. Hey, that makes sense. Come on, let's go talk to him. This is Frankie Joe, Mandy tells Mr. Gambino. He's starting a pizza delivery business. A pizza delivery business? Well, that's good. Hey, I heard about you, the man who just paid says. This is Mr. Lindholm, Mr. Gambino tells me. You're that enterprising boy my neighbor Harvey Puffin mentioned. My place is right next to me. Say, how about you bring one along for me too? Gonna be getting real busy. I'm speechless. 2 customers. Mandy pokes me in the ribs. Yes, sir, I could do that, I say. Only I don't have an insulated bag to keep the pizzas hot. I turn to Mr. Gambino. That's what I came to ask you about. Insulated bag. I knew I kept this thing for a reason, he says. He hands me a dust-coated plastic bag with a zipper. It holds 2, maybe 3 pizza boxes. Thanks. Not doing me any good stuck in the storeroom. You're welcome to it. Them days are gone. Now I have to run a 2-for on Friday nights to get people to come in. Not anymore, Mandy says. Before Mandy and I leave, I arrange to pick up 2 pizzas the next afternoon, a pepperoni and sausage for Mr. Puffin and a meat lovers for Mr. Lindholm. You'll have to trust me until I get paid. Soon as I get back to town, I'll bring you the money. I got no problem with that, Mr. Gambino says. Thanks. We business people have to stick together, he says, and I owe you one. Miss Peachcock turned out to be a good customer, Mandy says. You been by to see her yet? Well, I've been busy. Really, you don't have the homework I do, or a mother in jail that Miss Peachcock is bound to ask about, I think. I'm going to have to get better at this lying business. The cardboard sign on the front of my bike flaps like a bird because I'm pedaling so fast. I have 2 pizzas in the insulated bag. Because the bag is so big, I used a bungee cord to strap it on top of the basket to keep the pizzas from sliding around. It was Lizzie's idea. She found the bungee on her back porch. I can use it on my escape, too. I memorized the map FJ drew, showing me all the roads and turns to get to Mr. Puffin's and Mr. Lindholm's. I began to worry about getting lost on my trip home. Then I remember something Mr. O'Hare taught me once when we were hunting rocks in the desert. Let the sun be your guide, Frankie Joe. Just remember that it rises in the east and sets in the west. And when it's warm on the top of your head, it's noon. I'm relieved to see Lindholm on a mailbox next to the road. As I turn into the drive, I see a man walking to a big red barn. It's me, Mr. Lindholm, with 1 extra large meat lovers to go. Just in time, Frankie Joe. My stomach's turning inside out. He pulls a billfold out of his overalls. $11.98 with tax and $1.75 delivery charge. He hands me two bills, a 10 and a 5. Oh no, I forgot I might have to make change. I show him my empty pocket. I'll have to owe you the difference. Keep the rest, Mr. Lindholm says. With the cost of gas these days, you're a bargain. Now I gotta go get these inside quick. My wife is waiting. I bet Harvey's waiting on his too. Yes, sir, I'm on my way. I'll give him a call. Let him know you're coming. Mr. Lindholm waves, and I start pedaling. Hi, Mr. Puffin. Max called, told me you was coming. I remove the pizza from the insulated container and say, still hot. I forgot to bring change, but keep the rest for a tip. Wow, $3.50 for delivery and another $2.50 in tips. $6. I'll have enough money to go home before you know it. You want to come in for a slice, Frankie Joe? Did I ever? My stomach growled all the way. I wanted a slice of pizza really bad, but I'm afraid that FJ will be mad if I'm late getting back, or that Lizzie might worry. I remember then that Mr. Puffin doesn't have a wife waiting inside, and the words come easy. I was hoping you'd say that, Mr. Puffin. A slice of pizza would be great. Wouldn't have taken but a minute to let us know you were running late, FJ said. I'm standing in the living room when he dresses me down, in front of Huckabee's number 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're the one told me to be sensitive because he's grieving. I don't mind you stayed to visit with Harvey, but he has a phone. You worried your mother. She's not my mother. It was very thoughtful of you to do that. Just give us a call next time, okay? Yes, ma'am, I say. Oh, I signed you all up to ride in the Oktoberfest parade. It's on the 31st, so you need to get streamers on your bikes before then. Streamers? No way. Okay, the four weeds say in unison. There's a good movie on the Disney Channel tonight, and I made a batch of cereal snack mix. I put soda in the fridge, but only use one bottle. I don't care which one, but save the other one for tomorrow. Understood? I nod, and the other brothers sing out, understood. Hey, let's fix our drinks now, Luke says just before the movie starts. That way we won't miss any of it. The commercials are only a minute and a half long. That's 90 seconds. Not enough time for us to get our drinks. Geez, Luke, how do you know how long commercials are? I timed them. Wait, I want orange. Well, you're getting cola, said Matt. Johnny's bottom lip starts to quiver. Don't be a crybaby. You can have orange tomorrow. I actually want orange too, Mark says. We had cola last time. Too bad, Matt says. I want to vote, Johnny pipes up. Vote? What do you mean, vote? Yeah, remember what Mom said about odd-numbered families? Let's take a vote. Before I can protest, numbers 3, 4, and 5 yell, vote, vote, vote. Matt's eyes turn slitty. You want to vote? Then we vote. I vote for cola. What do you want, Luke? Mark and Johnny already decided. No fair. He's putting Luke on the spot. Vote for orange, I look at Luke and say to myself. But when Luke takes a step forward, I read the writing on the wall. I guess cola's okay with me, but that makes it a tie. So, Frankie Joe, you're the tiebreaker. I want to strangle Luke. I don't want to be the tiebreaker. Leave me out of this. No fair, Johnny says. You got to play by the rules. Great. Now little Johnny's throwing rules at me. I vote for orange. Orange it is, Luke, and caps the bottle and sloshes orange into all the glasses. Everyone grabs a glass and heads back to the front room. Thanks, Luke whispers. I really wanted orange too. We have cola most of the time because it's Matt's favorite. He takes over the footstool in front of the television, and Johnny says to Matt, You're too big. Let me sit there. Yeah, move over, Mark says. We can't see. But Matt won't budge. I get the feeling that I'm not the only one who doesn't like Matt. The movie's a science fiction flick, one of my favorite kinds, but I want to search the attic for things on my escape to Texas plan. I don't like taking things that don't belong to me, but as soon as I get back to Texas and make some more money, I plan to pay for anything I take. I have the $6 I made today hidden in my cardboard box in the storage area, but I need it for the trip home. As soon as I finish my soda, I slide off the sofa. Where are you going? To my room to study. But why? It's Saturday night. Yeah, but I want my grades to get better, Frankie Joe says. You don't need to worry. I overheard two of the teachers at school talking about you. I hesitate. What'd they say? That you're improving fast, Mark said. I'm improving? Yeah, I saw Dad at school today. He met with Mr. Arndt, and I heard him say that you're doing good. FJ's having school conferences with the principal and didn't tell me? Well, that's great, I say, but I still want to go upstairs to study. Family rule is no studying on Saturday night, Matt says. Why are you insisting on going upstairs? Maybe I shouldn't have gotten so cocky. Yeah, well, it's not a very good movie. I'd rather read a book. I leave the room, glancing over my shoulder at Matt. He's watching every step I take. I'm going to have to be very, very careful around Matt.